esportsbets.com, the service where gamers will bet real money on virtual events. Only here, the best odds and widest coverage of games from Dota 2 to Hearthstone. We have over 200,000 users registered. Join us. Prove that you are the best versed in esports. Who will get the first blood? Who will take the first Roshan? Who will win the knife round? Participate in the race of predictors and earn real money. The more bids, the more bonuses. Reward for your first deposit up to $600. esportsbets.com. Foresight, passion, and calculation.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Vici Gaming versus Invictus Gaming set to square off here in about 10 to 15 minutes. We'll have our introductions for both teams as we get close to the grand finals, but let's talk about it a little bit and see what we can expect. Now, there will be a best of 5 coming up. Vici Gaming will have a 1-game advantage coming into this series, but IG, they've got to be feeling pretty hot off that victory over Cloud9.
Yeah, it was a slow start, though. I think the game 1 definitely rocked them, and even game 2, they were really playing from behind. It was like a 15,000 gold lead for Cloud9, so by no means are they coming in like, we just crushed Cloud9, we're in good spirits. It's like they just scraped their way through past Cloud9, even with that game 3 one-sidedness.
All right, we can take a look at the bracket here. This is how we got to this point in the tournament. We've had 2 days of action-packed Dota taking us to our final championship Sunday. It's been a very interesting tournament, filled with quite a few upsets, I think unexpected results, and even just in context of the tournament, some teams looking very hot in one series and then very cold in the next.
Yeah. The 3 teams here, though, in the top 3, they've all had strong showings from start to finish. Cloud9 getting dropped out of the winner bracket by Vici Gaming, Vici and IG making it all the way through the winner bracket finals. So as far as these 3 teams go, it was a fantastic tournament. Cloud9, unfortunately, not making it to the finals, but it should be a close finals. I think if it is going to be one side, obviously, Vici Gaming probably the favored team, but I could see IG making it a lot closer.
Yeah, I think so. Of course, we saw these teams face off yesterday in the winner bracket finals. It was a pretty explosive series. Game 1, very close and back and forth, and it seemed like it could be any team's game for the taking, and then games 2 and 3 were a lot more one-sided. We'll talk about the matchup, I guess, kind of generally speaking. Thoughts about coming into this series? How favorited are Vici? Again, they have that 1-game advantage, but I feel like this should be a pretty close matchup.
I feel like it's pretty moderate because they did beat them already, and IG, like we said, just barely scraped by, so maybe their confidence isn't too high. I would have expected them, IG, to go down and maybe play really resounding wins against C9, and it didn't really look like that. They were the better team, clearly, but I mean, I think their confidence has got to be a little bit low, especially because they lost last night, and especially that last game of the night was very stompy, if I remember.
Yeah, and as for Vici Gaming, it was a 2-0 against Cloud9 in the winning bracket semifinal, which was Cloud9 playing some of their best Dota, and despite that, Vici Gaming 2-0ing them. The 2-1 win over IG, to me, was the games they won, at least Game 3 especially, fairly one-sided in itself. So I think Vici Gaming do come in with a lot of confidence, more versatility with their hero picks. The fact they won that Game 3 yesterday using the Tide, the PL, the Invoker, all these kind of forgotten, unconventional picks, really kind of highlights how kind of diverse they can be. As for IG, their wins are coming off from kind of the same tried and true picks, whether it's like the Shadow Fiends in the last game. I guess they mixed it up a little bit with like a Burning Phantom Lancer, but it feels like in general, IG is sticking to the picks for them that work.
Yeah, I feel like the list of strange picks we saw yesterday in that series just goes on and on. We saw that 5th pick, Crystal Maiden, in the 3rd game. We saw the support Kunkka that Burning picked up at first, teasing us at the thought of a carry Kunkka perhaps, and ended up in the support role alongside the Shadow Demon. I mean, speaking as someone that has some competitive experience, what's the general strategy to draft against a team like Vici that is just so diverse in their hero pool where it feels like you come into the draft just having no idea what they're going to go for?
You're always planning more around your own drafts. You don't try and counterpick as you see their heroes. Like, you don't see a hero and say, okay, now we have to counterpick that. You need to plan your overall strategy to make sure it's going to work and form a cohesive unit with a game plan, because as soon as you start putting too much emphasis on counterpicking, that's where suddenly your draft falls apart as far as being able to take objectives or really having a clear way of winning a game, I feel.
Yeah, and in addition, maybe you can use your last pick as a counter, like a mid matchup that gives you an advantage, or maybe picking a carry that'll scale better against your supports. But as a whole, it's more important just to focus on having your draft come together, like you said, so your team fights are good, so that your ganks are going to be decent, and that as things progress, you have a plan.
Well, I guess possibly IG have some pocket strats up their sleeve. Vici have had the luxury of sitting back, got to watch that series and see what IG had in mind against Cloud9. And again, how big of an advantage is that, being able to watch that lower bracket finals and kind of get a feel? I mean, I guess they know IG quite well, but...
Yeah, I don't think that gave Vici Gaming a huge amount of info about what IG are doing. I think in general, IG mostly ran their standard picks. The Burning PL was something kind of new. He hadn't. I think he'd only played one game of that in 6.83, so that was something which maybe now Vici Gaming are tipped off towards, but hey, they ran PL themselves. I don't think there's any real heroes or strategies that came from IG during this series, which suddenly it's going to be Vici Gaming like, ooh, good thing we saw those games and now have that information.
Okay.
So
There might be the Morphling, though. The offlane Morphling was a little unexpected, and we also saw Sand King, so that might be something they're expecting as well. If they have a bit of if they only have a slightly greedy draft, maybe they should expect IG to grab Sand King and outfarm them in the early game. That's a possibility as well.
Yeah. It seemed like yesterday the name of the game was aggression. You know, we were talking earlier in the tournament of how do we deal with the troll, and then we saw really early aggression is really the best way to stop him from getting that huge farm and really taking over the game. Part of the reason I think yesterday games 2 and 3 were a little bit stompy because both teams just drafted these sort of face rush type strategies and took an edge early on. Thoughts about that kind of general strategy? You think you'll see more of that? We'll see more of that in this series.
Vici Gaming up the most aggressive team in the tournament. Their average game time is almost close to 30 minutes. It's something like 32, 33 minutes. For IG, it's a bit longer. It's close to the 40-minute marks, but they do still play normally it's for them, it's aggressive early mid-game, but then they still look to play towards the late game with Ferrari as well as 430 as well as Burning, getting all kinds of late-game farms. So they play aggressive to create space to have a good late game. With Vici Gaming, it's let's end the game as fast as possible.
Any thoughts, perhaps?
That
Just
sounds
a second.
very, very likely to me. Or very likely to me. Vici Gaming likely going to do a lot of early stuff. IG may push it a bit later with some of their later game heroes, but I think it'll be a very early game centered matches.
How, as a carry, is just a bit more aggressive than Burning, I feel. I think we saw maybe not quite that case with the Juggernaut last game, but typically you'll see How on all kinds of just face rush heroes. He'll TP in really early to fights, where even when he's on something like a Sniper, which he played yesterday, he'll TP in really early, get involved. To me, he's just a player that's going to be really looking to make sure his team has a good early mid-game.
Fair enough. Now, I want to talk key heroes coming into this series. Yesterday, we saw a lot of Storm Spirit bans, Queen of Pain bans, and Bat Rider. Those were kind of the big three that I think were banned out in almost every game. Quap got through in that first matchup where IG was able to pick it up. Do you think we'll see any changes to those initial bans, or maybe fairly comparable to what we saw yesterday?
It seems like they mostly focus on initiating ganking heroes that set up their kills. So, like you said, Storm, Quap, they're the ones that are the ones they'll preferably pick up kills, grab some snowball items. They'll combo with heroes like Sand King, Lion, stunning heroes like that. Whereas, like we saw in the last game that Cloud9 played, they had a very gank-weak lineup, and I feel like those lineups as a whole are just not doing well in the tournament right now. It's like only when you get a Spirit Breaker or something to really set up your kills, that's when we see snowballs. So it's like a lot of people are picking ganks. If the ganks work out, you're going to win your matches. If the ganks don't work out, it doesn't work well. So having somebody that can guarantee a kill, like a Storm or a Quap, is really beneficial. So very likely we'll see more of that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Spirit Breaker, because that has been a key hero for IG, Luo in particular. He's played it quite a bit this tournament, and it's been very hot or cold for me. He either completely dominates and makes the hero look totally broken, or he gets shut down. I mean, of course, there are ways you can draft against Spirit Breaker heroes like Rubik, as we've seen, anyone with an instant stun, the Hex on Lion, for example. Any thoughts about Spirit Breaker in this series? We saw it played in 2 of the 3 games yesterday. Once was a victory, once was a loss. Any thoughts there?
I feel like going back to like the question you asked before, like what did Vici learn from that series? I think one of the things maybe they did learn is that Spirit Breaker is not that scary. They saw how Cloud9 dealt with it, how it can be punished when it gets too aggressive. So I think from that point of view, Vici Gaming are likely to say, okay, let's give them Spirit Breaker and look to punish it. Phoenix, another good hero, which XII can play, or they've even run on Fenrir as a support, which is also really good against Spirit Breakers. So I think it's something that's not going to concern Vici Gaming too much with the way they play and the way their supports are so active in the early game.
Okay, and I guess the last one I had on my list is the Troll, the dreaded Troll, the talk of the town on this patch. It seems today things have evolved a little bit in the way of Troll's been not prioritized as much. We saw in that last series where there were some games where he was making it into like the third ban and even into that second stage. Some more of the same, you think?
I feel like part of that is just whenever he's drafted against a sniper, he can be outplayed definitely, as long as his farm is semi-comparable. If you don't get a blink up early and you can't jump on top of the sniper, then the sniper can just keep you from range once you get Scotty and SNY. And even if you get a BKB, he just keeps you slowed. So I feel like Troll is easier to counter than maybe Sniper and the other heroes are, so maybe teams are a little bit more scared to draft him in the early stages. And even against Phoenix, he doesn't seem that amazing lately. Just seems like teams are more able to play against Troll. I'm sure his win rate's a lot lower than heroes like Sniper. So it's a lot of teams are like, we'll let him through. Maybe he'll be a good carry, but they don't usually want to pick their carry until one of their last picks. And a lot of times it's ending up being Jug instead, because Jug has better team fight. He right clicks almost as hard in a lot of ways, doesn't amp your team as much, but it seems to be Jug is a lot safer of a pick.
I would say so. Just the nature of the Blade Fury gives him that kind of escape reset tool, as we've seen a few times. The Burning has been playing Juggernaut very consistently. We saw it in that last series. Pretty convincing performance. So any other thoughts about this series as we get closer to our introduction ceremony here?
I think IG are going to want to fight the Vici Gaming aggression with aggression of their own in the early game. Chuan as well as Faith. I mean, I think the support matchup in the previous series was kind of the crucial thing, especially in Game 1 and Game 2. Game 3, it came down much more to an overall outplay, outdraft, but I think a similar story here. What IG supports do, how their movement matches up to the Vici Gaming FY Fenrir duo is going to be crucial for the outcome of this game, more so than individual plays coming out like from the 430 versus super mid matchup or anything along those lines.
Yeah. Both these teams seem to really favor that really aggressive kind of laning support. So your Lion, those sort of types of heroes that can be very aggressive early on and set up kills around the map. Yeah,
they always do really good rotations as well. It's even sometimes very unpredictable. Like last game we saw Morphling was only level 4 or level 5, and he ended up smoking with one of the supports to set up a kill in the mid lane that decreased Fada's Blink Dagger timing. Like, their ganks are pretty unpredictable. They move around the map very often, and it definitely sets the pace for the game.
Yeah, I think undoubtedly Vision will be a big part of this series, as we've seen an increase on this patch that Vision is just more and more important. We even have seen Beastmaster being prioritized as a ban, mostly against Fada, but can come in handy in these matchups as well. A hero that we could see pop in from time to time.
Yeah. Outside of the supports, I think what Lua and XII bring to the table is very similar in the amount of space they look to create for their team, their impact as initiators or playing on big teamfight heroes like the XII's Tidehunter. I think these are almost the two playmakers in some sense as far as trying to do the most possible with the least amount of farm. You can expect like your 430 or Ferrari to get farm, have high KDAs, whatever it may be, but it's going to be the smaller things coming out from Luo as well as XII that could decide this series.
Yeah, I feel like the key difference there, though, is that Luo has a slightly more predictable hero pool. I feel like in the draft you can usually tell, okay, this is most likely to be a Luo hero. Even in that last draft, it became pretty apparent it would be an offlane Morphling. Ice, it's a kind of a different story. Heroes like PL, for example, sometimes they'll put it on the carry role, sometimes they'll put it in the offlane. Maybe a little bit harder to read in the draft.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even sometimes they'll put him in a 1v1 matchup. They gave him a Zeus before. He was, I think, offlane, but...
He was offlane Zeus, and he farmed like crazy that game.
Yeah,
it was impressive.
No matter what he grabs, he's either going to get experience, or he's going to come back from deaths, or he's going to possibly win his 1v1 matchup. So I could definitely see that. Maybe put him on a Quap or something, put him in the safe lane, and then do an aggressive tri lane. He seems a lot more versatile.
Yeah. Until today, where we saw Luo play. I mean, the Morphling, like you say, you knew it was offlane when it was first picked, but it was definitely an offlaner that caught people by surprise. On top of that, he did play the offlane Zeus as well, so he didn't show himself to be an amazing offlane Zeus. It was a kind of an average game coming out of him, but it shows IG is still willing to pick heroes based on what they feel fits the draft rather than what's going to be Luo's comfort zone, because they're not picking just the Spirit Breaker, the Axe every single game. Yeah. Similarly, another hero which could really come into play this series is Brood. Both these teams play the Brood, and if that gets through to like a third or fourth pick where a team doesn't have good counters to it, I could see a Brood coming into play.
Absolutely. We brought that hero up a couple of times this tournament. We've seen her power multiple times in an array of different ways. You know, you can build that kind of Necronomicon split push style. We've seen that Dagon Rush build, which can be very potent in certain situations, especially once you get that E-Blade, lets you scale into the mid game well. And even when that hero gets shut down in the lane, the space creation that she provides is a little bit absurd at times, I think you could say.
You know, I mean, it's ultimate potential. You can scout with spiders, you can farm jungle camps, you can hide in tree clumps, which makes it very hard for your opponents to go on you. Just continue getting farm, continue getting items, and then eventually contribute with a TP.
Yeah, one of the things that's always stood out to me of Ice as a player is that he's an offlaner that's not afraid to throw away his life if it means he can get some experience, find some extra farm, or put pressure on. And oftentimes you'll think, oh, he's gone 0-3 in lane, less than ideal, but then all of a sudden he finds that level 6. He has Ravage when he needs it, and maybe a little more bold in that regard, I guess, than some of your more traditional offlaners.
Yeah. And as far as the mid matchup go, one thing that kind of hit me is that what we're seeing more and more of is snipers still being left in the pool. That game there, game 3, it was not picked up when IG had the option to go for it. Instead, they pick up the Shadow Fiend. Vici Gaming, though, super absolutely will take that sniper whenever it's available. So we may go back to seeing that sniper versus Shadow Fiend 1v1 mid matchup, which was very common for a while. Fairly even without the support ganks. Both heroes, though, very gankable. And that's where one of the supports to look out for is going to be Earthshaker as well. Because he protects either hero really well and also sets up ganks, especially for the sniper to kill the Shadow Fiend with just one fissure.
I feel like we haven't seen as much Axe this tournament as I may have expected. That's another offlaner that Luo has played a fair bit this event to a fair degree of success. And I think we may see the red man pop into this this series more likely than not.
Yeah, Malaysia was picking him a lot, but I guess they just favor different offlane heroes. Haven't even seen as much Clock. There's a lot of Clock when the tournament started, but I guess he's phased out.
He was losing a
well.
lot of games, Clockwork.
Yeah, he was losing a lot of games.
We've seen him picked up to try and counter the sniper, but it's not that hard counter. Sure, you can initiate onto the sniper and lock him in place, but you still need the follow-up damage. And if the opposing team gets the early force stabs, as we've seen, then the initiation that Clockwork provides on sniper just feels a little lukewarm.
Yeah, it was good some games, but as a whole, most of the time it was like, well, you interrupted them for about a second, but now they're going to kill you instead. So
even players like, Bone7, known for his Clockwork, one of the best Clockworks out there, he was struggling to make the hero work, hitting good hook shots, but then just dying without much follow-up kind of nearby. So
yeah,
I don't know. Well, the hero definitely was not fitting in very nicely to drafts, at least throughout Starladder Season 12.
Definitely. So we should have this series starting pretty soon here. It looks like all the players are in the lobby and they've left the stage. So I imagine our opening ceremony should be coming at any moment here, boys.
Exciting stuff.
It certainly is.
You guys favoring Vici Gaming?
I was just going to say, should we talk predictions a little bit? I think you're hard-pressed to not favor Vici for an array of reasons. They start up one game in a best-of-5. That's by nature gives you a pretty good edge. And they also beat IG in the winter bracket final. So those two things alone, I think at least makes it 60-40 odds if you think they're fairly evenly matched.
Plus they got to sleep longer last night. So
True. Very true.
And they got some KFC last night, I've been told.
Oh, good.
So they're
Nice.
quite possibly better fed.
Hearty
Two
fried
advantages.
chicken. That's good.
I think Vici Gaming have also proved that they don't choke in finals, generally speaking. They got crushed by EG at the DAC finals. That, to me, was just a matchup, and EG just out. I mean, they just seemed more prepared for that. But in general, leading up before that, Vici Gaming winning the Summit 2. They won ESL 1. They were just winning titles left, right, and center.
Yeah.
For IG, this is a kind of a new roster currently as far as playing in big tournaments. They haven't really, I mean, even just looking at Burning specifically, never really winning that big championship outside of Starladder Season 10, Season 9. He won the season DK won a couple seasons ago.
I think it was Season 9.
Yeah. So that was the one big kind of championship he got. But outside of that, Burning is not really, he's made it deep in tournaments, getting top 2, top 3, but never really done amazingly well. Even Vici Gaming, well, different roster again, making it deep at TI4, where they got to the grand finals. I feel like it's just a team who doesn't choke under pressure quite as much.
All right, and with that said, folks, we're going to have a very short commercial break, and then coming back, we'll do our team introductions, and the grand finals of Starladder Season 12 will get underway.
esportsbets.com, the service where gamers will bet real money on virtual events. Only here, the best odds and widest coverage of games from Dota 2 to Hearthstone. We have over 200,000 users registered. Join us. Prove that you are the best versed in esports. Who will get the first blood? Who will take the first Roshan? Who will win the knife round? Participate in the race of predictors and earn real money. The more bids, the more bonuses. Reward for your first deposit up to $600. esportsbets.com. Foresight, passion, and calculation.
Hello, Bucharest! And welcome to Starladder Season 12 Grand Finals. Are you guys having a good time here? That's good. That's really good. 3 great days of games are behind us, and the last match, the last Grand Final, gonna determine the best team in the world right now. The last 11 seasons, we were hosting finals in Kiev, in Ukraine, and we had one great tradition. And I hope you will help me, because every time we had a grand final in Kiev, before the grand finals, team were entering the stage with huge applause from crowd. Will you guys help me with that? That's good. Okay, the first team. The loser bracket finalists, the loser bracket winners, the International 2 champions. Please welcome on this stage Invictus Gaming! And one more time, Invictus Gaming! And their opponent, the runner-ups of the International, one of the best teams, still undefeated here in Bucharest. Your hugest applauses for XII Gaming! One more time, make some noise, XII Gaming! And now, I want you to ask to cheer absolutely the same for each player. We have 10 best players in the world right now on stage, and we're gonna start with Invictus Gaming team. From the right side of the stage, you can see one of the best players in the mid lane. Ferrari! Next to him, Mr. Spirit Breaker. Lure! Team captain and a great support. Your applause to Faith! Just the best Dota player in the world. Burning! And of course, the heart of this team, Xuan! From the other side of the stage, we can see Team Vici Gaming. And the first player, the newest player of this team, one of the best carriers in the world, Hao! Next to him, one of the best 1v1 players and one of the best supports in the world, XII! The legendary support next to XII. Make some noise for Fenrir! Solo mid legend, XII. Super! And of course, you know this guy, right? XII! One more time, make some noise. Vici Gaming versus IG!
All right, so the grand finals set to get underway. The lobby should be getting started momentarily. And, well, if you didn't know the players before that, now you certainly do. A set of characters down there.
They didn't all quite embrace the camera in the same amount, but that was kind of fun to watch. Most of the time, they don't make any eye contact at all, so that was a big improvement.
XII was just too cool for school. He was not having any of it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Certainly
I'm excited. This is, I mean, as I said, 10 of the best players in the world, 2 of the best teams in the world right now, and they're about to play a best-of-5 series.
Yeah, they certainly are. And with that, we will load into the first draft. So, I don't know. We talked about our predictions. We all seemed fairly confident in Vici Gaming. What does IG need to do to take this series? I mean, what is going to be their key to success, you think, Gods?
I imagine what they're going to have to mix things up. They're probably going to initially try and go with a tried-and-true draft, go for something like the Shadow from Juggernaut, like they did in the last game, get their sand supports. But as soon as that doesn't work, that's where they're going to have to go a different direction, go for something a bit wonkier, whether that's going to be playing for a super late game, getting some of those big late game carries, Medusa for burning or something along those lines, or getting hyper-aggressive. I don't think IG can just play like the kind of picks they did in Game 3 against Cloud9 and expect to beat Vici Gaming.
Yeah, I think both teams are going to want to focus on supports that can stun and then cores that can do AoE farm. So we've been seeing a lot of jungle stack stealing lately, and I think that's really crucial towards getting some slight advantages. Both teams are pretty equal in team fights, so any bit of farm advantage you can get is really important.
Any thoughts, heroes that come to mind that work well?
Shadow Fiend, Storm has been useful. Other than that, those are the main ones, really. Troll is decent, but most people don't max out his spin quite early, and it's not the best nuke anyways. So.
We'll just still have the Storm Queen of Pain ban, which you've been mostly seeing against IG.
I bet it'll slip through at least one game after things get tough. They'll be like, all right, maybe this isn't working. Let's let that hero through, see if it works. So I bet we'll see it at least one since the series is so long. But
or if anything, Vici Gaming may get confident and be like, well, let's give them Storm. We can deal with it.
Yeah, that's also possible. And they may be a little bit more greedy since they do have a win up. They might say, oh, we don't have to play as safe. Let's do something that we think is going to work well. And then maybe they'll fall back. There could be a lot of different paths that we take in terms of picks. So I'm excited to see how things progress in the series.
In terms of switching things up a little bit, a hero that we didn't talk about earlier, but we certainly talked about a lot yesterday, is Wisp. One that neither of these teams really prioritize a lot. I don't think he was banned out or picked at all in the series yesterday, but could be an option here if these teams want to try something a little different, maybe catch the opposition off guard.
It's definitely possible. Neither team really runs it that often, but it's still a very good hero if put in the right hands. I don't know if necessarily that's their hands that they want to use it for, but you know, it's definitely possible we might see it.
Always a pocket pick that can come out.
10 seconds.
And with that, we've got a draft.
5 seconds remaining.
nothing yet.
Do we have a draft?
We saw this yesterday, though. Both teams thinking very hard about these initial bans because there is this set of heroes that are all highly prioritized here: Storm, Bat, Quap, Troll, Sniper. Those are the big ones that we've
I mean, you'd
seen
think you would have
mixed
planned,
around.
like, during your wait time, like, what are we going to ban? They just lost 11 seconds of reserve time, but...
Oh, what a bummer.
They were busy making love to the camera. What are you talking about?
All right, well, Queen of Pain, Sniper, nothing out of the ordinary so far.
It's the teams you wouldn't expect banning those heroes. It's Vici who banned the Sniper, which they run more than IG do, and IG who banned the Queen of Pain when normally we see 430 on... I'd say Super plays Queen of Pain as much as he plays some of these other heroes.
Yeah.
Super and 430 have a very, I would say, identical hero pool, with the main exception being the Sniper, though. They both play Queen of Pain, they both love Storm Spirit, they both love Shadow Fiend. So
Yeah.
I feel like I see Super play more teamfight heroes maybe, but as a
he
whole,
used
I
to.
would
He used
totally
to play
agree
like a
with you.
lot of team fight.
He played Magnus yesterday, I think. And that's a hero that you haven't really seen Ferrari. Ferrari's
Yeah.
like always on a carry / semi-carry. I mean, Ember Spirit's a perfect example. Can make space, but still last hits a lot. So,
That's true.
but yeah, definitely very similar players.
IG thinking about this quite a bit. They will have the first pick, and here we see our first
Wow,
change.
PL first.
Phantom Lancer banned out straight away.
That's a. Does anybody pick PL first round? That's so
Vici Gaming do.
peculiar. Maybe it
That
counters.
was what they did in the deciding game yesterday.
They opened with Venge PL in Game 3.
Ah, that's right. Okay, so I guess that's what they're afraid of. They probably talked about it a lot last night.
And you have first pick, so you can leave the pool much more open when you have control over what you're going to get your hands on. If this leaves like a hero like Storm, Shadow Fiend, Trolls in the pool, you decide what you're getting and what your opponents have their hands.
One of those three is definitely making it through here. The question really is, which one does IG want the most?
Probably Storm Spirit, I think. I think they take Storm over Troll for sure. The main thing is they've been running more Shadow Fiend because Storm's been getting banned. I don't think they've had a single Storm game all tournament because it's always been banned out.
Yeah. And the other thing is if they don't take the Shadow Fiend and he gets left in the pool, then Vici will have the option to grab Shadow Fiend Earthshaker, but it is the Shadow Fiend that's banned out, so quite possibly a Storm Spirit first pick for IG, as you mentioned.
Yeah, this is kind of confident from Vici Gaming. I think it's FY's way of saying, look, you guys can first pick Storm, we have a way of dealing with it, and early game aggression, which is Vici Gaming's staple, is a good way of doing it. They don't actually go Storm.
Prove you wrong.
Get the Troll.
I think this is pretty good because there's still a high chance that they can get Storm here if Vici Gaming doesn't feel like playing it. And if they would have picked Storm immediately, Vici could have just opened up with huge counter picks just to start things off. If they're committed to 2 out of their 5 heroes, then they might not have as many abilities and options and opportunities to pick Storm counters. So it leaves them open. And they do go for the Storm themselves, so things get a little tough.
Zeus also still in the pool, a hero we haven't talked about much, but is in the top 5 picks for Vici Gaming on this patch.
So Troll versus Storm is not very good. You can blind him and he's very reliant on right-clicking, but Storm versus Troll, Storm can kind of do whatever he wants, at least until he runs out of mana. And with the Lion pick to follow that up, that's a really scary ganking duo.
Yeah, and also just denies one of the most commonly picked support options for countering a Storm Spirit, having Hex Impale, going well to the late game. Deals well with Storm as well as any possible carry for Hal that may come out.
So pick now from Invictus Gaming before we move into the ban stage. Is it time to grab a core that they expect to get banned? Maybe a support that counters Storm would be good here. That's usually where bans usually target around protecting your heroes in a lot of cases. And especially with the Storm Spirit, I feel like you have to protect that hero a little bit. So do they grab the hero that counters the Storm here?
We have seen a fair bit of Disruptor play this tournament. Not going to be the choice here, but Lina.
So kind of okay versus Storm. If there's a stun setup, you can follow up and burst him, but getting that first stun down is the tough part.
I'm wondering if this is, yeah, normally with IG this is a support Lina, but could be something which matches up well mid lane against Storm Spirit as well.
Well,
Yeah.
we did see Burning play it a lot yesterday. I think he played at least one
He
game,
played one
probably
game.
He played
two.
one Lina game yesterday.
Just one?
Just
okay.
one.
It was that one where he started in the off lane and did a lot of aggressive things, and not going to see it this game?
Yeah.
Maybe, might.
Third ban from IG on the Brood Mother. No
These
big
teams
surprise
just know
there.
each other well. That's a big thing coming into play here. When you go, like the Cloud9 versus IG series, the teams only know what their oppositions do, like their commonly picked heroes, their common strategies, so it's much easier to read where the drafts are going. When you got two teams who verse each other so many times, that's when you see Appeal as one of the first 2 bans. You see something more unconventional coming out from Vici Gaming as well as IG.
Yeah. Rubik now the third ban for Vici Gaming.
great support to counter Storm. It's got an instant lift, and most of the time Storm can be evasive just by canceling your animations. If you're trying to cast on him, he'll ball, and then he'll ball again. And it's basically like playing a can I click on this fast-moving object mouse game in your browser.
In terms of interaction with Lina versus Storm, if she gets a Yules, can Storm pretty much always ball lightning out of that, or is there a little window? Does Lina have the advantage there for the most part?
I think they nerfed his
fairly
ball
50-50
cast animation a while ago.
If you perfectly time it, it's impossible to get out of. If you're like 0.2 seconds off, you can ball out if you don't have to. Like, you need to make sure you ball lightning the direction you're facing. If you have to turn, you're pretty done for. But if you time it perfectly, there's just no way to ball lightning at all.
Okay, so Lina can provide the trump card there.
Yeah.
And here we see IG banning out the Tide Hunter 4th, and I think that's a little bit of respect from yesterday after seeing Ice dominating Game 3.
It's really unexpected, too, because nobody's playing Tide right now. He's definitely fallen off since some slight nerfs to Anchor Smash and Refresher Orb, but he made that hero look still really good. And it was a 1v1 matchup. Most Tides have been playing offlane recently, so that was maybe one of the reasons why he did so well, is that in the 1v1 against certain heroes, Tide is still good. But taking a ban and no Tide Hunter this game.
Yeah. As far as other things here, the big initiator still in the pool is the Batrider as well as far as offlaners go. Both Luo and Ice play it. Not like a commonly picked hero, but still seems very strong for either team.
Well, showing some respect to Luo here. They ban out the Spirit Breaker, and now Vici will take Axe, probably their offlaner for Ice.
Yeah. Good against Troll Warlord in general.
Good if he jumps on Lina. Lina's got pretty low HP, low armor.
Batrider has to be tempting for IG here. Another good hero to try and lock down the Storm. You have a Laguna to follow up, so you could burst him down in the duration of the lasso.
It's pretty good against Storm, but Storm's also good against Bat, I feel. Like, it's a
It is a
lockdown.
50-50 matchup.
You can jump on him, but if he goes on you first, then Bats usually get blown up. They don't get Ghost Scepters in most cases. Force Staff is sometimes enough to get away, but in the late game, Storm has a ton of mana. So I feel like Bat is an option here, but they do grab a Sand King. So Sand King Lina, potential support duo, very, very old school, but it also still could be a mid Lina. But the idea is that Sand King has a very reliable stun if you're within range.
The prized Wisp that we talked about. It's Vici Gaming that take it.
Okay, so what's the combo? Wisp, Axe?
I don't even think you need it. Yeah, it feels like it's not even a combo. It's just a good support in general to deal with to be aggressive yourself in the early game and to perhaps counter the early ganks coming out of IG, being able to just sit behind the Storm Spirit or an Axe and keep them alive, heal them back up.
And there's a lot of stack clearing heroes on Vici Gaming's team as well. Wisp can kill stacks, Storm can kill stacks, Axe can kill stacks. They can definitely move into the enemy jungle, limit Sand King's fast Blink Dagger, things like that are definitely possible here.
So looking at this, it feels like classic Vici to me, where you look at the Wisp and you don't know where it's going to be. It could be even a safe lane Axe with a Wisp partner. It could be the off lane Axe where they grab a more classic Wisp partner with their last pick, like a CK or a Tiny. Very open-ended and makes this a little more difficult for IG. Depending on if they want the Lina as a core support, Disruptor could be a tempting pick here.
For Invictus?
For IG, yeah.
Axe wrecks him pretty hard if he catches him.
Yeah, but he's a go-to against Storm and Wisp.
He's good against Storm, but he doesn't feel he's good against Storm, but he's not amazing against Storm. Like, it's sometimes works. If he balls far enough, the glimpse is out of range and you can't get a glimpse. But I feel like
430 Invoker. That's a classic.
Yeah. We saw IG play the Invoker yesterday. LD's excited. Woo.
There's a lot of, there's not a lot. There's an LSA and a Sand King Burrow Strike. Could be an Exort Invoker, but Quaswex always solid. The more stable option these days, but I wouldn't mind a good old Exort Invoker.
Another way to control the Storm.
Is it better to do that over EMP Tornado?
I don't think so. Exort is just so much more volatile if you don't get the kills out of it. Or
Mana Draining Wisp is one good way to counter him.
Cold Snap is amazing against Storm.
If you turn off if you burn the overcharge, it doesn't matter anyways that much, but I feel like Wisp early game mana is pretty low, Axe's mana is very low, Axe is pretty crappy without mana in a lot of ways. You can't call, can't continue chopping people. Could go both ways, I think. Exort doesn't counter Storm as much, but they do have, it's gonna be Exort. They've got a Sand King and a Lina. They're gonna roam around the map, they're gonna have a core Invoker, and they're gonna set up stun strikes, like almost for sure, just by looking at the stuns they have already.
Yep.
That's very likely.
So with this, it will be a support Lina, most likely, unless we see something really funky like an offlane Sand King or Invoker.
Yeah.
But
It could be aggro try. Ice. Oh, I'm sorry, that's IG's pick.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Offlane Sand King could be a potential option. I don't think particularly likely, but
that would have worked with an Exo Invoker, having a Morphling stun. There's your setup for a Sunstrike.
That's good.
smart ban from VG indeed. And there's the Tiny. So thinking it's the offlane Axe and still looking for a position 1 to pair with the Wisp, I think as good a ban as any for IG. That's a tough 5th ban.
I think they definitely need a BKB or Magic Immune carry against Sand King, Lina, Invoker. If you don't want a BKB hero, you can go for something like a Lifestealer, but I don't know if Lifestealer is really the best option these days.
It's not good against Troll. It actually has a really negative win rate, at least on Dota Buff. I mean, it's not indicative of pro games, but it shows you the base levels of the heroes. Tons of physical damage from Troll with a bash that goes through BKB. It's like exactly what you need versus Lifestealer. And as soon as you blind him, it's like, you're worthless.
So Pierre, there's your BKB carry. Goes well with the Wisp. And fights pretty well against Troll with Evasion. Troll does not typically want to go for an MKB, although he's probably going to be forced to do so against PA.
Yeah, won't come out till certainly later in the game, though.
Probably SNY MKB, I think, or maybe BKB SNY, or BKB MKB. It's probably going to be his progression here.
Yeah. So
think he does
IG
need
looking
BKB.
most likely for their Luo hero with this final pick. The Bat Rider's still in the pool,
10
though,
seconds
as Purge mentioned, kind of 50-50 against the Storm.
And even Wisp, you've got the relocate to save whoever gets lassoed potentially.
PA can jump on him in lane really easily too. It's actually kind of a dangerous. It's one of the scariest things about PA in the laning stage.
And they settle on Magnus.
Seems like just like what's left, like what's going to give us something useful here. And Empower for the Troll Warlord is going to be one of the big things Magnus can offer. Even if you get underleveled, underfarm, Skewer RP, throw an Empower on Troll, and this hero can catch up. Even if you're just stacking Ancients and getting zoned out, you can leech XP when the Troll comes to farm it.
Plus Chaos Meteor, man. Can't wait for the RP Chaos.
I hope this is an Exo Invoker. It'd be really fun to see, but
Yeah.
it's looking more likely to be a Quaswex.
Really? You think so?
Well,
If so many stun.
I kind of agree with Purge here. They just have so much setup for it.
There's so much action, you know? Like, Ferrari can sit in his lane, he can get last hits, and he can still contribute with kills. I feel like that's pretty likely with Sand King Lina. If it was less ganky supports, I would say Quaswex for the lane, but Exor Invoker's maybe a bit weak against Storm because he's not as defensive. If you whiff your Cold Snap or Cold Snap's on cooldown, you just die. So, I don't know. We'll see.
All right, and with that, game 1 of this best-of-5 finals of Vici versus IG will get underway. LD and syndereN will be your casters. Boys, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Starladder Season 12 Grand Finals. Vici Gaming have the winner's bracket advantage. They automatically lead 1-0 in the best of 5. Hey, Sind, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very excited for this game, of course, as hopefully everyone else is. This is not really a surprising grand final, in my opinion. Based on the entirety of the tournament, I do think these two teams have been the strongest. Vici Gaming, of course, with the winner's bracket advantage, being up 1-0 in the best of 5 from the start here. Also, I don't think there's been anything that surprising as far as that goes. So,
yeah, both teams looked extremely strong coming into the event. So, in that sense, maybe not a guarantee they would make it here, but like you said, not surprising in the slightest. So, well, it is going to be the 430 Invoker. He's starting off with Blades of Attack. Generally, this signifies the early phase boots, and I'd say more often than not, that will mean Quaswex Invoker is the choice.
I think Ferrari was the player to pioneer this build in competitive Dota, where you start with Claws on Invoker, compensating for the obvious very low base damage, which is a huge weakness for the laning phase. But doesn't need so much regen, doesn't need a bottle in comparison to a lot of other generally mid laners, as we're going to assume he will be going mid with this build, as is going to be the case here. He gets the bounty rune, top one goes to FY, and he will be grabbing a quick bottle as a result. What do you think? So they were talking about Quaswex versus Quasexort. I think Quaswex is extremely good against Wisp. That would probably be my go-to. The moment you see a relocate, you can Tornado counter it. EMP ruins Wisp's ability to use Overcharge, unless he has to start bottling up immediately. And his tandem as well will be hit by the EMP. It sucks for a PA as well. Great against Axe. Seems like a solid choice.
Let's talk about it in just a second here, Chuan. Not going to make us go on Ice Ice. Actually will. Burrow Strike comes through. You don't really want to be going up on this Axe right now, not with the whole creep wave following Ice Ice Ice. I think the one big thing is, yeah, they do have good setup for Sunstrike. That is a fair point that I Purge and Zyri were making, but I feel like the other consideration is you really want as much control as possible for the Storm. And if you go Quaswex, generally we see the very early Orchid coming out as XII taking some heavy harassment here in the top lane. And that gives you a way to shut him down before he gets out of hand. So I would lean towards the Crosswex being the way to go, and it seems that is the choice, at least for now.
He can, of course, choose somewhere down the line if he wishes to get a little bit more of a flexible build.
The other
We've
thing is
seen
the
444 before.
Do they really need more damage? They have Magnus. They've got massive high damage supports, lots of AoE. They have a Troll who's going to have Empower. I feel like they just need as much control as possible.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Tornado is a great setup. Just, you know, you get a little bit of breathing room, you get time to analyze the fight and see if you can land a good RP. Also sets up very nicely into Burrow String.
That's a good point.
It seems like a very nice choice, all in all. XOR definitely has its benefits, but with this matchup that Ferrari has got in the mid lane where he's one-on-one against a PA, very unusual matchup, by the way. I think he's going to be perfectly fine playing as Crosswex.
Yeah, and PA is, I would say, a bit underrated in the 1v1 mid situations. You can farm well with Dagger. Once she gets to like level 4 to 5, I wouldn't say she has great kill potential, but she can start to dish out the damage and potentially force the Invoker to play more defensively. So for now, we do see some harass onto Super. Looks like he has ferried himself an additional set of tangos, so plenty of regen to work with. And for now is actually leading the CS, which, again, that Dagger just very nice for last hitting.
Invoker's base damage currently sitting on 55 against Super 60, so has a little bit of an advantage with the poor man's shield opener. It's almost pointless for Invoker to... Of course, he's going to try to harass Super a little bit, but he has plenty of tangos. He has 20% evasion and blocks 20 of Ferrari's damage already with the poor man's shield, so will be very easy for PA to farm here in the start. The thing that's risky for Super is later on, rotations from IG's lineup. These two supports very easily kill PA for the first good 20 minutes of the game. She just dies to burst.
And generally with PA, you can just sit back, farm from the high ground with Dagger, but when Tornado is leveled up a decent amount with Wex, then you can still often get that setup to go in for the kill. So I would agree. I don't think the PA is hugely safe. EMP will come out mid lane and Super, oh, he loses all his mana. This is going to make life hard here. 430, nice EMP there, and not able to quite get the kill, but we'll force him back. I do want to talk to you a little bit, Sin, about this offlane Magnus for Lua. We used to see Magnus offlane all the time. Back when Skewer had 1200 range at level 1. Nowadays, he feels a lot more vulnerable at 750 at level 1. He has hit level 2.5, and he does pick up his bottle. How do you think the Magnus is going to fare this game? Do you see Luo getting much? And if not, what sort of adjustments should they make to help him out later on?
I think for now this is fine, but they're going to need to swap around so Luo gets the mid lane at some point, I believe. It's the Magnus Blink is going to be a crucial part of their ability to take mid-game team fights, unless if Sand King gets an early one, but I don't think that's going to be the case either. Top lane.
Ice going hard in the paint here onto Faith. Creeps coming in. They're going to support the first blood of your grand finals goes to VG Gaming. Well played.
So what IG can do to adapt and give Magnus an actual game here is later on they can move Luo mid and they can move Ferrari bottom. Invoker in the offlane when he has a good early game with some levels is actually fairly hard to gank because of Tornado and high movement speed. And even if you try to chase him down and dive him, Cold Snap under tower is very good. It's very easy to TP defensively and help him out. And you always need to account for Ghost Walk. Then you also need detection. So he's actually not the easiest hero for the Radiant lineup to bring down. And
that's a good point.
If they just keep the lanes like this, like Luo is really not getting much. He's got 10 CS minute 4.5, which isn't all that bad, but you know, if he was in the mid lane right now, he would easily have 20, and Hao can just bully him away from this lane with the Storm Spirit, getting the Flying Vision here from Remnant, harassing him away, and Luo getting some important information here though. Fenrir is not around, else he would definitely be harassing him, so.
It seems right now like VG Gaming just getting a lot more out of the laning stage. It's not so much the first blood for me, Sin. It's much more just the experience they're getting. This dual lane in the off lane, they've allowed the team to pull ahead 2,000 experience lead. A lot of this coming down to, well, actually Luo hits level 4. He's doing okay at the off lane, but it just seems like the dual lanes are giving them a lot more in the early stages, and you got to worry a little bit for IG. Feels like they need a lot of items before they really come online. The Blink Dagger on the Sand King, who's not going to be allowed to farm it right now. Ice going in deep on him. Out come the orbs. Nice stun, but still kept alive for now. And goes Burning. Good backstep, but there's the call. Needs a couple more spins to get this kill. Does he run? Does he fight? Dodges the stun and will make his way out. Very aggressive play here by Vici, and this is 2v3.
And every time they do this, if they don't die, it's a better trade for them. Wisp keeps healing up the Axe. He has Tranquil Boots as well. He will be healing up to full. Chuan gets forced back to base. Lina using a couple of spells there now, very low on mana. Also want to point out how important the Dire Jungle is going to be for this game. Axe can...
Oh, wow. Okay. Solo kill by Hao.
I was not looking for that, but Hao managed to grab level 6, so...
Yeah, he was level 6. The mag was fairly high HP, but this is, you go for the max overload build, and you could just burst somebody down from almost full to none.
So the Dire jungle, there's going to be some stacks coming out here for IG, and Vici Gaming are undoubtedly going to expect this, so they will be looking for them here. This cannot happen for IG.
Can they contest this, though? They're not particularly high level. The main hero that could help out is 430, but right now he's under pressure mid, and they're PA's posted up.
Top lane's actually lost now. That's how important this is. Now Sand King's going to have a really hard time.
And with the Wisp, you can take these right away. Can Chuan go in and get the kill? No, Faith too durable. And might even get turned on. They're going in for this. We're only 6 minutes in. There's the call. Dragon Slave comes out. The stick charges. Do he work for FY? Don't tell me he lives. Shockwave will finish him off now. The EMP Tornado, but Hasted Super able to just walk away. Looks like he reserved it for after the Tornado. Ice into the trees. Will the neutrals deny him? No such luck. Super now on the run. Good turn here for IG, but they still lost the gigantic stack. I believe every creep went to Vici, though IG at least gets some of the experience towards the end.
I really like IG's decision here to rotate 5 heroes into the jungle and fight it. They know this stack is so important, and even though they lose it, at the very least they end up getting 2 kills for it. They don't go Sand King's way, though, so Tron's very low level, and as a result will be porting bottom to try to get some experience here so he can become relevant in the mid game. So.
But this is, you go back to, expensive. Going back to game 3 of the IG, top lane, again the aggression from Ice. Not sure he's really looking for a kill here, but just heavy pressure. If he gets some super lucky spins, could go for it. But it really feels like that was the key in the game 3, was not just the draft of Cloud9, but the fact specifically that draft prevented them from challenging the Sand King in the jungle. Got a free Blink Dagger for Twan. IG are not being afforded that kind of easy laning stage this time around.
Super. He's going to lose all his mana. It's actually super annoying. Okay, no pun intended, but it is actually very, very annoying.
I think I just saw 100 people leave the venue, Sin. You're gonna have to stop, man.
All right. I didn't know.
They're streaming so many for the exits right now. Oh, Tron. He'll get picked off on the bottom side of the map, and well, not only is he not finding his farm in the jungle, Sin, but he's struggling all around the map. Now the chase on the top lane. Vici Gaming making quick work of IG here early on. They've got another duck. It's a 2-for-nothing special. Ice just styling on IG. Now for the TP out. No, Cold Snap will cancel that, and this will be a much-needed kill. He's very close to the blink. Had about 1980 gold. Will be slowed down. Still, though, again, like you mentioned, I feel the key point out of all of this is, sure, they're trading kills, but Sand King is not farming at all.
And space created.
And Luo isn't either. Neither Blink Initiator is even getting close to that Blink Dagger.
And even if the fights are even, IG are porting heroes around the map. They are being forced to play reactionary Dota. It means that Hao hasn't even had to leave the bottom lane yet. He's doing very, very well for himself, getting completely out-farming every hero in the game. There's actually a 20 CS difference down to the Troll. It's very unusual. We see the safe lane as being this far apart at minute 9, but
what do you think the build is here for Hao? Do you go for that really fast Bloodstone, or do you see an Orchid being more valuable for this team?
That's actually a good question. I think when you're this far ahead and you're playing against this composition of heroes from IG, even if they catch you in a stun, if you have Bloodstone, you might actually be able to survive some of the combos that they can pull out. And when you're playing from far ahead, it should be pretty easy for him to grab a couple kills as well. There's some easy targets on the Dire side that you definitely don't need an Orchid to kill. The Lina is a free kill pretty much all the time for Storm. If he has any detection, can probably solo the Sand King as well, even though he can stun and try to buy some time. Also, already have seen him solo Magnus, so he could probably do that again. It really depends on what Vici Gaming's plan is. If they want to play really aggressive and start taking towers, the Orchid is going to be a very nice setup for PA to follow through. But if they're trying to play more of a split push, I actually think Bloodstone would be a nice choice.
Yeah, the one cool thing if you do want to go Orchid is you have a lot of extra sustain because of the Wisp pick. So you don't need the extra mana regen as much as in a normal Storm game. Do want to mention that Io, dangerously close to level 6. So anytime you see Ice make a move, Blink Dagger should be coming soon. He'll have a +2 available. In general, Vici Gaming just so mobile. They also have the PA, who we haven't really talked too much about, but quietly getting some solid CS here. It's just a lineup of heroes that can jump you out of nowhere.
It's going to be difficult for IG if they don't manage to get these Blink Daggers. We're talking about it a lot, but it really is the most defining thing about their lineup is Blink on Mag and Sand King. And they're the two heroes that have suffered the most, I guess, apart from Faith, but he is the position 5, so expectable that he is bottom of the barrel here. But
and if they don't have those Blinks, I feel like Troll can't really do much this game.
Exactly.
PA has evasion to deal with him. Axe has the call that will prevent him from actually getting to focus someone down. They have the Hex, Impale, Storm Pull. a lot of sustain from the Wisp. It's not really one of those games where Troll can do it alone. He needs a good RP, good initiation from supports in order to get the job done.
And how do IG get out on the map is the question. They're playing very, very defensively. They seem to be trying to move around between lanes, but not really finding anything. They have to know they're getting out-farmed while this is happening. XII is playing in their jungle.
There we go. Burning's been caught. Relocate coming in hot. Looking for the B-God. They get him with the pull into the Remnant. And, well, the Tornado. EMP combo. Oh, too late. They get the dunk. Maybe they can find How on the way out. No, Vici Gaming just running circles right now around IG. Oh, ice. The trapeze artist just jumping right over their heads and vaulting his way back to safety.
Yeah, they got one kill there on the Troll. The highest value kill they can probably find right now is, of course,
under attack.
the Troll of Burning.
They just feel like they have such a nice pace to the game right now for Vici. Every little building block for this aggression just seems to come around the appropriate time. You get the Storm level 6, he finds a kill bottom. Axe gets his Blake, you have your first relocate, and there you go. Oh, bottom lane, XII caught out. And they find one, they're looking for a second, and man, they're fast. They have another chop. There you go. Ice. 5 kills already. And Vici Gaming continue to just destroy IG in the early game. They won't find another call here.
Oh my god, if they manage to steal this as well.
Don't tell me How's going to make a move. Oh, zip out, EMP. Won't hit him, but oh no. Sad times right now for IG if this hasn't stopped it. It's too late, Sind. Dagger's going to hit Burning. He has to throw up the axes defensively. This is just painful to watch.
Yeah, they're going to leave him one dragon.
That's just cruel and
Thanks
inhuman.
for playing.
That's a double sad face. And they've got the other thing is they got some really
they're not
great
leaving
wards.
him the dragon. They're going to
Okay.
take that with How.
I don't know which is more depressing. They at least did most of the work for that dragon, so it's almost worse this way. The only thing that would be worse is if they then salted the fields afterwards and warded off the camp.
I think they want to keep it open and steal it later. I mean, why not?
You've got an axe and a wisp, but you might as well.
Just bonus resources here for the Radiant side. They're getting so far ahead. It's actually kind of ridiculous.
We're 13 minutes in.
7,000 gold and experience, minute 13. And the problem is, it's not just the lead, right? It's you can't really see any solution for IG right now. The only thing I can come up with is that they have to try to smoke and take a fight because the blink daggers are not happening. And if they want to try to wait for them, we're probably talking 10 minutes for the blink on Mag and maybe Sand King. Magnus has Boots, Bracer, and 450 gold, minute 13.5. This is when solo mid Magnuses that have a good game will already have a blink, maybe even blink Arcanes if they have a very good game. And Luo is very far behind. Obviously,
well, those blinks might be delayed even further, Sin. Coming in is FY, joined by Fenrir, and they get him with the air spike. Don't even need to drop the finger. Actually, it was on cooldown there. Nicely played by Vici, and it's just where do you go to farm at this point? They've been warded off in the mid lane. The Ancients are denied to them, and well, they don't currently have any vision in the jungle. They just feel confident to walk around the IG woods. They're really not afraid of getting punished. Just such a good map control game from Vici in general. They do not go for the vision heroes the way we see from Cloud9, but it feels like a very similar kind of style. Just take over the map, get some early kills, and do not give the enemy team any room to breathe.
How many smokes do IG have? They have one on Lina and one in stock, okay? How? Just showing off a little bit here against Luo. XII grabs his next item. He is just filthy rich right now. This is a minute 15 X inventory you're looking at right here.
Jeez. And they're not done making moves.
Problem.
They want to go again. They've got the Finger of Death online. IG very much backed up already, and should they drop this game, they'll be on match point the wrong way the rest of the series. It is a 1-0 lead by default for Vici here. Not the way you want to open up the series. XII looking for initiation top lane, but that's a Vanguard axe. This is a very difficult kill. They're going to commit heavily for it. Finger comes out. XII will probably be the first man down here. Ice trying to finish the job. Big jukes from XII. He's going to survive for now. Blow Burrow strikes away, then he runs back into the spin anyway. He'll take his death in the end. Just has to accept it. Meanwhile, Super, quick crit, an easy kill, and they're not done yet. Now hunting 430. Goes in Viz. No more vision. The pianist will dodge away.
Not gonna get it. So 3 for 1.
And again, a Blink Initiator dying. This is between the two of them now. Magnus has 2 deaths, Sand King has 4. And more importantly, when they're not dying, they're just sitting back. It's not like they're getting much farm. Really just a strong start here for Vici Gaming.
IG have to get their jungle back. There is actually no other solution. It's the only thing they can do, and they have to keep trying until they manage, because else they're getting out-farmed. If they play passively, they lose. If they try to play inside the enemy jungle, anyone is going to spot them out, and they can just relocate and gank them. They're going to lose that fight. And if they just try to play a farming game, Hao has got a Bloodstone. He's going to farm faster than any other hero in the game right now.
That is such a fast Bloodstone, and he's going to start getting charges now. Finds Faith. Easy takedown, and they might not be done. 430 is scouting them out. Under cover of Invis, but Hao doesn't really seem concerned about that kind of possibility. RP used on him. He's got the Bloodstone, though. Does it matter? Oh, bought back to safety by FY. What a great defensive relocate, and they're coming in, ready to go again. Super trapped under the tower, taking fairly heavy damage, gets a dagger crit, and any second now, Bernie may end up falling. 430, continuing to force them back. May have chucked out a tornado in the midst of that. Leaves Super on his own. Good pickoff there for IG, and I didn't see. Did 430 throw a tornado or something? I thought they were going to go on that.
I didn't see it either. I was following the PA action here as well, and I guess IG, they do get a kill there on Super, but it goes to Lina, and that's really not the hero they wanted it on right now. It's great to get levels and, of course, gold on Lina generally, but it doesn't solve the problem. It's kind of get a blink or go home, it seems like it. They would have loved to get that kill on Chuan. I think he would have actually almost had the blink. With this gold deficit they've got right now, I think Lina got like 600 or 700 gold for that kill. Really, really need to get more of that going. And
well, some sentry wards. Okay, that's a good start. They'll take it. Yeah, it's not really ideal.
Do you remember Ice had Vanguard minute 15?
Blade Mail now?
It's been 2.5 minutes.
Oh, he's almost got a Yules. This is just getting worse and worse for IG.
There's quite a bit of merit to this Yules build. I think it's not something Ice usually goes for on the X. What's probably prompted it is the Wex, or the EMP from Invoker. He wants to have mana regen and enough of a mana pool so that even if he gets hit by EMP, he can come back in the fight and cast a couple of spells. Of course, Yules is a great utility item on X. Since the last patch, however, you cannot Berserkers call during the Yules. You have to call after. They will not be taunted while in the air.
Oh, again, the pressure. Nice. Chuan, no room for the little Sand King. Trying to hide in the trees, but the orbs are going to splash onto him. Now the dagger. Finger, see ya. Jeez. Okay. Oh, my. Chuan cannot be feeling very happy right now, Sind. And they're just not getting punished. Imagine if IG had those blinks right now. When these relocate ganks happen, maybe they can get there in time to turn those fights, but they're just getting outmaneuvered all around the map, and just to rub salt in the wounds, now Lion's got a blink. Fenrir finds one before the Magnus or the Sand King on IG.
12,000 gold. Ice finds a rune.
Dire's middle tower.
He's going to go scouting here. Has finished off the Yules. So you can see his mana regen right now. Actually quite significant, right? It's 5 mana per second. Over the course of these team fights that seem to last, unless if VG just blow them up, right? He's probably going to get at least 100 mana out of this from regen. He gets the flat 10 intelligence as well from it, and that's a good 250 mana in a fight suddenly that he didn't have before.
It could be a game changer, potentially. Also, will be nice for the potential Orchid pickup from the Invoker. We saw 430 building towards that earlier, and he is going to reveal it now. EMP coming out, silences Hao, but there's a Bloodstone deny available, and Fenrir comes in. 2 heroes stunned. Very nicely done. Now the turn. Blake, call, zip forward, and more Bloodstone charges. Perhaps no! He has the suicide. Right as the Laguna's used. Very well played by Hao again. Thwarting IG at every turn. They get basically nothing out of that fight. They do force the Storm's death, but they don't really get any gold or experience. And
I don't know if they can hope for much better than that without rotating. They probably need to rotate the Sand King with them when they go for these plays, but Chuan had been ganked previously, and I don't know if he was actually in position to even go into that smoke, but I like this play from IG. I think a lot of other teams would just try to play on their half and wait it out, but aggression is the only way back into the game for them. They have to try to find these kills, and
it does allow them to.
It is the way.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of accomplishes what you were mentioning earlier, like take over the jungle again. Well, they don't take it over, but Bernie at least gets to see a camp or two while Vici Gaming are occupied elsewhere. Is there any chance they could try to sneak a Roche here, Sin? They do have the Magnus Troll. I know it's super risky, but Vici don't have the best vision lineup. Do you see a possibility for IG to maybe create a distraction elsewhere and make their way into the pit?
Yeah, it would be a really good play, and you're absolutely right. It's a high-risk play, but that's kind of what you're down to now as Ferrari is down to the ground.
Welp.
Wicked sick.
That was easy.
Nice, nice, nice.
Well, they do have a haster in here on Luo. He's going to pop it. Moving forward, there's a BKB on Super, but he'll get caught by the burrow. Guess who's waiting? It's FY. See ya. He was so prepared for that. And he might turn around here. Can remove that blind for the troll. Blink forward. BKB, pull him in and slice him up. It's roasted burning for dinner. Skewered as well.
There's just not much to say. IG are just getting
Dire's
thrashed.
top tower is under
Totally outplayed in this game.
It's scary to see not only how well Vici are playing, but how calmly confident they've been. All event, Ice in interviews, how in the interview he had on stage. They not only are winning, but they feel like it should be easy for them to win. And so far,
TP's top
it seems to be another dunk. Ice, he's a tall player, and in game apparently as well as in real life.
bottom tower is under attack.
Wasn't it Chuan who used to play basketball?
Yeah.
Why
Daryl
does-
looks like he could be a basketball
Why
player.
does he never play Axe?
I don't know, man. Some of the we see like Mushi will occasionally play those like jungling 4-position unconventional type supports, but apparently not good old Chuan. You should really suggest it to him after the match. Hey, by the way, Chuan, I've got a strategy for you. Play a basketball hero.
Axe is pretty good.
We'll have a Blink Skewer back on Ice, but it really only tickles him at this point. The Vanguard, far too durable. They'll just walk away. And Sin, before we saw a good aggressive wards for that stage of the game, one over near the hill, one, I believe, at the mid lane, but now a deeper set have been placed, looking for complete and total map control. There's an Orchid used on Al, but the counter initiation comes. Oh, blinking forward is Ice. Caught in the enemy 430 tornado, but do they even care? Blink RP not going to be available. They just go for the skewer, but BKBs will dodge it, and now the dive towards the well. Crit, need a little bit more in the same moment, 430. Well, looks like they'll end up getting that Lina kill. 4 for nothing, but it just feels so easy for Vici. Even if they have RP on IG, can they really make anything out of it?
Game over, man.
Jeez.
Game over. And it's really nice to see. So it's one thing that Vici Gaming are very far ahead, but the way they're playing the fights and all their micro movements within it, it's super difficult for the Sand King to actually land a good burrow strike. How just keeps rezipping. They use the BKBs with great timing. Even though they're playing aggressively, they're still not clustering up, not giving any opportunity for IG to hit a 2-man stun, and they're making it look a lot easier than it is. I mean, granted, it is fairly easy at this point.
At this point, it's easy,
ridiculously easy.
but getting here wasn't that easy. Well, they haven't gone for the Roche just yet, but they could very soon. And IG, at this point, they're hoping for that 1 RP to rule them all. And Sin, I have to point out, there is still no blink on Chuan. We're 24 minutes in. A good Sand King support game, if you're left unchecked, we see the blink by like 10 to 12 minutes quite often.
Sometimes even earlier.
Yeah.
I think if you can go full greed and you just stack and farm, I've seen as
like
low as
8
like minute 8 to 8:30, I think, if you get some good camps. And well, that was not the not a possibility in this game for Chuan.
Man, you're depressing poor Chuan here. He got the bounty rune. Now he can buy it. All right, Chuan, spend your gold. Spend your gold.
This is last chance, actually. It's the one thing that can bring them back in the game is a surprise epicenter. They're going to have to play for that.
I mean, at this point, you kind of just expect, like, all right, at some point, he's probably going to get a blink, but it really is going to take it. Still, it's only a level 1 epi, and Vici Gaming are starting to get very tanky. You've got now an additional BKB, this one on Ice. And I think the Storm, no, just the Bloodstone Orchid, so no BKB.
This Axe has 550 GPM, minute 25.
He's more farmed than his own Storm, who had total free farm and an easy solo kill.
It's actually unbelievable.
IG, they've smoked again. This is their second smoke in like less than 2 minutes, trying to make their way in. Oh, they blink onto Ice. Is that the hero you really want to focus, though? I don't know, syndereN. Charging it is how. He will get caught by the RP. Wisp relocates forward. PA arrives. Crit 1, 2. Bringing them all down. That's 3. There's the dunk. Now Chuan could be next. Can he make it out? Call in 2 seconds. A deep dive looking for more. It's 4 dead and GG. Bloodstone suicide. A little icing on the cake here as IG end up getting wiped. Absolutely destructing performance there. Just a complete one-sided beatdown. Vici Gaming looked like they had some good sleep last night.
That IOX offlane completely surprised IG, I think. You saw them banning out the Tiniest their last ban. They were expecting the IO to be pairing up with a classic farming core. Maybe they didn't consider the IOX. Maybe they wanted to eliminate the option for Vici Gaming to do it at least, or do the classic IO combination here. And man, it seems like, so we've seen, I feel like Vici Gaming are one of the really good teams at playing dual lane offlane Wisp. It's something not many teams play. We've seen them play IO Juggernaut with XII with great success, IO X. I think I've seen IO Bristle from them as well. That's more of a classic combination that other teams play, but they just have so many options when they get their hands on this hero. And the cool thing for them is they don't need to draft it early, because IG will not be picking it. They wait and see, it's a good on the 4th pick, maybe even the 5th. This time they get it 4th, and it looked like they had the entire game plan from like minute 0. They knew exactly what they wanted, and they got all of it.
Yeah, you got to kind of feel like Cloud9 probably, if they're watching this game, are like, that is what we needed to deal with the Sand King in the jungle. Obviously, Vici Gaming have the benefit of getting to see IG unveil that last game and to be ready for it, but they just made it look easy.
They're going to, I don't know, IG are going to need to win 3 times in a row against this team. That's
Reverse
hard.
all kills have happened before in Chinese Dota. I think the most memorable comeback was when DK went down 0-3 in, was it WPC? It was in WPCA's the first season, and then they went 4-0 to take the best of 7. But, well, let's start with one game here for IG. Let's see if they can force that Game 4, guys, or if it's going to be a 3-0 sweep. We'll take a quick break here, but when we return, Starladder Season 12 might end at a 3-0 sweep, or maybe we get a Game 4. Stay with us.